I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Startups on the Blocks. Carla, you're going to have to come back in. I think you got cut off there. I hope I didn't do it. We're glad to have everyone here. Thanks for all the folks out in the audience here on Hoppin'. And we had a ball networking tonight. A lot of new people on, so we're excited about that. I'm going to make a couple of announcements about Startup on the Blocks, and then let me get my screen shared here. Carla, if you hear me, you can ask to come back on stage as well. All righty, so we're excited today. We got one new sponsor since last week, the First Bank, and so we're excited to have them as a sponsor. They are supporting our next pitch competitions, which we will be announcing shortly. We have to raise a little bit more money so we can have an exciting pitch competition. Hopefully we'll be able to get it done sometime in October. But Innisfree has sponsored our last two pitch competitions, so we're excited about them. And we're excited about the partnership with the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce, the Pensacola Chamber of Commerce, University of West Florida SBDC, and Bantucola, who also does a live streaming. So we're very excited about that. And Gulf Power is a big supporter of economic development here in the community, and so we're glad to have them on as a major sponsor as well. Carla, if you're out there in the background, here she is. Yes, so hey, Carla, I'm going to mention one more thing here, and then you and I can kind of get started. So all of our portfolio companies, we want to let you know that we have plenty of mentors for you. And tonight we have Carla on, and then next week we'll have Dale Guines. He and Rodney Sampson, they're the ones that wrote the blueprint for developing and growing your own ecosystem, and they also pretty much try to follow their playbook as far as what we're doing here with Startup on the Blocks, and part of what we're doing is in that blueprint is that early part of just introducing the ecosystem to people of color as well, and so they can learn of what the ecosystem has to offer. And then on the 23rd, we used the lean canvas with all our portfolio companies, and we encourage all our listeners to use the Lean Canvas with their startup. And so Ash, he's coming on the 23rd, and so we're excited about that. And so, he wrote the Bible, he invented the Lean Canvas, so we're looking forward to having him on, and so that should be a great event. And we're also seeking sponsors, because he has a new online accelerator program, and so we hope to start using his program before the end of the year with all of our startups as well. Yeah, and here are mentors for our portfolio companies. I don't know if I got a chance to mention Tay Larry last week. He's a new person with SBDC that's helping us out with the mentoring. And I'll reiterate again, congratulate John and Jessica Griffin. They got awarded their patent last month on their Edgewashi concept. That's a major announcement, and so we're certainly happy for them. Carla, you can come on back on now. Stop sharing my screen. Hey, Carla, how are you?
Hey, technical issues earlier.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting to. I always like to have new founders on, and we like to have examples, or get people on that, so people in the audience can connect with them. And so you're a Hispanic founder, a female founder, and you're a bilingual person, and so that's pretty exciting to have all those qualities. And so if you would just take a minute and talk about how mention how we met, and everything, and kind of go from there.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's definitely a huge opportunity, and I'm just excited to be able to maybe help others too that are also watching, and expand this community, especially, and
Yes.
add some more diversity, just so we can add some more comfort for people who think that there's not a place for their ideas or to connect with people. So we actually met through a networking event. It was my first face-to-face networking event. It was on a Friday. It was right there by Sisters Cafe. Or is that how you call it? I'm still new to Pensacola, so I'm like trying to get the names right.
Yeah, that was a Pensacola network event that we do every fourth Friday, which that was our anniversary event, which we actually did in person. And then last month we had to go back to virtual.
Yes, it was like the next week. I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to the next Pensacola event. And then we all had like this Delta scare here.
Yeah, but I think that was actually the second time we met. The first time was at 1 Million Cups, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So for those who don't know what 1 Million Cups is, it was an opportunity for entrepreneurs, for small business owners to get to meet other business owners and investors. And you were able to either pitch or just describe really what your business was about in just 6 minutes. And it was a really good atmosphere to get some feedback and get pointed in the right direction. And they're right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lloyd. There has been opportunities where even there's an investor who's willing to invest in your company, right?
The main idea about 1 Million Cups is to present your idea and get feedback from the audience to kind of help you. It's all about helping you with whatever your idea is, and that's basically how you and I connected. And I listened to your presentation about your company, and and I saw a lot of potential there, and so so we'll talk a little bit about that. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and first, and what how did you get here in Pensacola and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, sorry about this little guy. Heads up.
Oh no, we're glad to have the little guy.
Because he loves attention, and we just adopted him 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So a little bit about my background is I'm Hispanic. I started working when I was 16, and within those years, I just kind of always persisted in trying to look for a new challenge, trying to get out of, just a neighborhood that was just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I came from a small community, but eventually it expanded, and it was very common for Latinos to feel like they didn't really have too much hope, that we couldn't go to school, especially because a majority of us, like myself, we are DACA students. And for those who don't know, it's deferred action, so childhood of deferred action, or actually it's deferred action of childhood arrivals, which means that we were brought here really little by our parents who are immigrants.
Okay.
And
yeah.
So some of the states, they have limited our access and resources to education, and we can't pay in-state tuition. We have to pay international fees.
Wow.
So it's very hard for us to pursue an education and a degree as much as we passionately want it.
Okay.
Especially because our parents, they made so much effort to bring us to this country to go to school. It's just culturally engraved.
Mm-hmm.
So through those challenges, I still managed to go to school, work full time. I was, working in a restaurant for a while, and I decided to be motivated to go to school because a small group of friends that I had made were all in college, fortunately.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm the only person that's not in college because of this obstacle. Like, it's so unfair. Like, I started having this unfair mentality, which a lot of us unfortunately have because of the situation. So I somehow was like, when they say that quote, you are who you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to my friends being in college and having these conversations that I couldn't participate in because I didn't know what it was to go to college. Yes. It motivated me. I was just like, you know what? If I have to pay international fees, I'm going to do it. Yes. So I started working full time. I went to school. I initially went to school for chemical engineering. Okay. And it was a struggle. It just got really expensive, of course. So I just laid back and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to find a really nice job, a good opportunity where I can learn. I started working at a laboratory, and in this laboratory, I was able to expand my knowledge, contribute to the growth of the company. I was actually there for almost 4 years. Okay. And I started off, it's an orthodontic laboratory, and I just started off cleaning the teeth and disinfecting like the models. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I was like, wait, I feel like we need to have a better system here. Like, we need to have like better documentation. Yes. So I started like, giving recommendations to my managers, bringing up ideas. We started actually implementing these ideas so that there was a better flow throughout the plant. Okay. And I started noticing that I had that niche, that I liked the organization building and expanding. So eventually I went back to school again. I saved up some more money, and I was just like, you know what? I can't work at the laboratory. I'm going to put my full energy into school. Well, like most entrepreneurs, or some of the entrepreneurs that I've been listening to, they do say that the school is very expensive if you don't know exactly the route you're going, or or you're a DACA student. Yeah. So I did run into that obstacle again where I couldn't afford it. So I paused and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I went back to serving at a restaurant, which to me, I don't shame restaurants at all because it's always a good fallback and a quick way to get some money and get back on your feet.
Yes.
And I ended up applying to at least 3 jobs every day for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And somehow, 2 weeks later, I got a call from a law firm, And they weren't a small law firm, but they weren't as big as these, Morgan and Morgan and other law firms. And they just needed they needed like an assistant. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. They try to kind of move me around, find a place for me to work. And then I saw that they needed help in the sales department because they were short staffed and they were expanding.
Okay.
So I went up to sales and I just started helping out. It was like for a day or two. Mm-hmm. And I just loved sales. Like I loved making that personal connection with them, with people that really needed help. And it helped a lot that I am bilingual. Yes. So I was able to speak fluent Spanish with these people that seriously did not know. They just wanted guidance and they just wanted help. So from there, I just helped them in sales. It was a great learning opportunity for me too, to be able to connect with those people. And then we started expanding our department in sales, and we started I started creating like manuals and training books and figuring out a system again on how to have more organization and structure within the department as we're expanding and hiring more people. Mm-hmm. So after working there for a while, I was recruited to a new law firm. And in that law firm, I was able to also implement the skills that I was doing with the first law firm and creating a system, expanding. They also wanted to expand the same size as the previous law firm. Okay. The previous law firm, when I first started there, I think they had like 30 employees, like 25 to 30 employees. And they expanded to like 115 by the time I left. So, around there. So they had rapid growth, yes, and great culture. It was a great opportunity. And so the second law firm wanted to do the same thing. But COVID hit. And when COVID hit, a lot of companies were just, really scared. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't even believe COVID was a real thing for a while. And the city just shut down. So with job losses and everything, I just decided to move to Pensacola. Okay. And in Pensacola, I was able to start networking. Kinda. Okay, this is my baby step networking, okay? Okay. And this is what I feel like people kind of sleep on. They a powerful tool here is Facebook. Yeah, okay. Why? Because when you move to a new city, I've noticed small Facebook communities are willing to help. Okay. So for anyone that's new to a new city and is just trying to look for guidance, I highly recommend to check out Facebook groups. Why? Because some of these Facebook groups are willing to just point you in the right direction with nothing in return. And it's just so nice to see that. Okay. So I was like, okay, all right. Does anyone know a business consultant? I was like, okay, I want to get my consulting skills to the next level. During this COVID shutdown, I ended up getting a certification. Okay. In business consulting. I started studying more about these niches that I was having at these companies. So after that, I was pointed in the right direction by a few people on Facebook, and I just started calling. Like, hey, do you guys have any part-time jobs? Do you guys have any way that I can just like get pointed in the right direction? Mm-hmm. But I ended up like kind of using up my savings here during that period. So I was like, hey, I need to start looking for a part-time job. I need to start doing something. So I kind of put my business on the side and I started working in these part-time jobs, and I was just getting really, really distracted from my dream, especially because part-time or not, it can take a lot of energy because you want to be able to invest all of your energy and knowledge into any company you step into, but even if it's small. Yeah. So I was losing focus. eventually I was able to have this opportunity to fully focus on my company and just start self-teaching me these things, how to register under the state of Florida, how to learn bookkeeping from scratch, how to learn taxes. Taxes is a huge thing. Like, easily, if you do something wrong, you're like stepping on some toes with IRS, and IRS wants their money back. So stuff like that.
So tell us about what is your company? Tell us about your company.
Okay, so we actually specialize in creating predictable systems for your small business or your existing medium-sized business.
Okay.
A lot of the times, the entrepreneurs, they invest their dream, their hopes into their company, and their company becomes dependent on them.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a way of slowly removing themselves away from their company. Okay. So that's where we come in, and we help you strategize. We help you analyze exactly how you can start doing that. And a lot of it is very, very basic. It can be from simply just saying, hey, is any of your processes documented?
Gotcha.
You know, if people know, but it's hard to see it when you're fully committed into your company, that there has to be a process and a system in place. So you can slowly start depending others to do those tasks, and you can slowly remove yourself away from that. Or if you're a technician, meaning if you are the person that creates the product or the good for the customers, and that's your passion, sometimes these people who create this product, who create this the good, they lose focus of why they really started their small business, because they're involved in bookkeeping, managing. They're doing everything at once, and they have no escape. They have no way of focusing on why they really started this company.
Yes.
So that's where we come in place.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like when you presented at 1 million cups, so what type of feedback did you get from the audience?
The number one feedback that's still engraved in my head is, I have to build a product. So it's still in my head. I am still grinding through these gears to build a product for my company.
Yeah. So like, but what was the idea about building a product?
I'm sorry.
So what do you gain by building a product? So I assume that what you're saying is this idea of building a product, because if you do that, that's something you can sell, and that can also actually scale as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so not only would my company be providing a service, but we'd also be providing a product that can help a company, and they can just use it.
Yeah.
So we can also scale in that part.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like, so do you remember what advice I gave you?
I'm not gonna lie, not really, because I'm like a visionary. So the minute I get information, I start like dreaming all of these things, and like my mind just gets really excited. But the number one thing that stuck to me was scaling a product, making sure that this system somehow became the product.
Yeah. But I think really what I tried to communicate is, like, a traditional consulting business, that's like butts and seat type work, and it's still very profitable. And but the main thing I tried to communicate to you was that if you stick with not trying to do something that scale, then the amount of resources and help that's out in the ecosystem is limited, because traditionally the ecosystem for high growth startups, it's based on stuff products or services that can scale. So and I think what I tell people, and I told you, is the minute you start working on a way to scale what you're doing, just the idea of it, then you become a founder of a startup. And so once you become that founder of a startup, then all these resources open up to you. So like the pitch competitions, the accelerator programs, the pre-accelerator programs, and on, all the training, all the mentoring. It's just a whole new world of service that's open up to you. And so what I've heard you say so far, you just through work, you found this idea of helping small businesses getting standard operating procedures. In the military, that's what we call them. I think they probably call them that in civilian corporate world as well. And so I don't think I've seen a product out there, a service out there that is, it has the automation built into it, to help people, companies document their processes. I'm pretty sure there's something out there, but I haven't noticed a startup in that arena. And so I think I also, this may have been after that. If the idea for what you're consulting, you probably follow a certain steps or procedure that you do when you're dealing with a customer or a small business. And so the advice I gave you was just document every step you do, and then you figure out how to automate that step. And then once you figure out how to automate that step, that's the whole process. That's your product or service. So
and in my head, I was kind of stuck where I was like, okay, because I remember this conversation and how my brain registered it was more like, okay, once I start with a few of my customers and a few of my clients, once I start doing that, I will start seeing a repeat in my process, and then I can start documenting that repetitive process to start scaling it into a product. So that's exactly what I've been starting.
Yes.
And I'm still stuck because it's not as fast as I thought it was going to be. It's a much slower process. And I have been doing some analysis and trying to see if there's another product like this out there. And there has been. It's just the way that they're marketing, no one really knows about it. One of the women that I was following that has something similar to this idea, she's been marketing it through YouTube, but it hasn't been too successful. So I'm still trying to dabble with my marketing strategy and my plan, because I've noticed that's an obstacle for these other people that have started something similar. So I do want some more guidance in that aspect. And that's why I'm kind of glad that I'm being introduced to these types of communities and events.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Were you able to connect with Blanca? She was the Hispanic lady up in Atlanta.
We did connect on LinkedIn, and I was able to check out the networking for Latinx community. Yes. And I'm starting that too, just to get to know more of my people and the entrepreneurs as well. Yeah, so that are like me as well.
So, like for example, Blanca, she's been involved in a lot of programs for women, Hispanic women, women of color. And they literally, these programs literally help lead and guide you through, and help you work on your idea. And we'll get you, kind of into the startup on the blocks and get you access to some of the stuff that can, and the mentors that can actually help you. And so, if anybody out in the audience has any ideas, of automation and how we can help scale of consulting service, please put them in the chat there. But I don't know if you remember, um, one thing about networking, when two people are talking about the same thing, their brains both start working on it, and you get a really good effect from that. And I don't know if you remember at that 1 million cups. Do you remember what Brian Wire said? What he used to do in IT world for this big company?
Something along SOPs as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, that's so similar to what I'm already doing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
just went from there, like we all kind of just froze for a little bit. And we all just started thinking of all these really cool things.
Yeah, and so the reason why I mention that is that so you could potentially think of him as like a mentor or an advisor on your advisory board, since he's worked with the enterprise company actually doing that for a living. Or you can you can potentially consider him as bring him on as like a co-founder or something. That would be a major step. I wouldn't do that unless you all do it, but you all spend some time trying to figure out if you all could get along. But see, because you really need somebody to bounce your idea off, and you come up with ideas on how to do it. And so I'll tell you, a lot of people think things are impossible to do, but they're not really impossible to do. You just, because there are always some analogies, but you have to have your process down on what you do. And like, let's say you write, if you write your process down on what you do, or do do you do you have people the business, you have them write down what they do step by step, or what do you do when you start consulting with a business?
So right now I have opened a Google Doc that's
Okay.
shareable with my clients.
Okay.
And in that Google Doc, it's completely that person and myself.
Okay.
And in there, we have strategies, we do planning. I do like an intake of exactly where they're at, what's their revenue like, where are they stuck. And because it is virtual, I like to schedule an appointment where I actually go to their company if there's a physical location and try to analyze exactly what's going on. Because as a business owner, because we're involved in so many steps in our companies, we think one thing might be the problem, but it's actually something else, and it could be super minimal or it can be a bigger issue. So we have a Google Doc where me and that person are completely doing either homework or doing analysis together, and they can go back and forth whenever they need to, and we meet up again to see where they're at. If the problem seems like it's something that, like I said, I have to physically be there, then I will go and perform a different analysis.
Yeah, and so what the parts of your business that you can actually automate, you automate those, and then the part that where you need somebody to physically do something, but you want to try to automate all the different things. So like, let's say you got the situation where you have some software that prompts the business owner or the people that are working doing the jobs there. It prompts them, and asks them questions about, what they're doing, and then they write it down, and so whenever you say you ask questions, of course you can get software to do that. So that's not a really big deal, and so so you'll just have to keep building it and building it. And so I'll give you an example. Like when I and this is it's so common, like because all it is it's like and so one thing you may need to do, you may need to focus on a particular industry, and that'll narrow down what you do as well. And so you might have use cases for this industry, and then another use case of that's tailored for another industry. And these standard things that these companies need to do, they do their personnel in a certain way, they do their accounting in a certain way, they do their sales in a certain way, and that's kind of that you may have to break it up instead of looking at a solution for everybody. Pick you work with law firms, maybe pick that as an example. You worked in a laboratory, pick that as an example. And you start from some narrow thing, and then you expand it out to a more diverse thing. There are a couple of comments here in the audience. Let's see. Oh, so Terry Williams, he wants to know if you can assist the Northwest Florida Minority Business Chamber. He's over in Panama City. and so how would you like that a chamber, what's your mechanism for onboarding clients?
For onboarding clients?
Yeah,
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I initially do is I do a 20-minute phone call just to kind of screen to see if it's something that I can help them with. And if it's not, I'm more than happy to point them in the right direction to someone that can help them with a specific consulting. But yes, Panama City is not too far away, so I can do that. And yeah, we can definitely do a call. And if you feel like it's going to take longer than that, then we can definitely schedule it. But just a normal 20-minute call, you can call me anytime. And then if it's going to be longer, we can schedule it and sit down and really see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So like Natalie said, you could scale your consulting by online courses.
Let me see. I can't see these comments.
Yeah, they're on the stage. If you click the stage down the right.
Okay. Chat. You're in chats, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can scale consulting by online courses. Yeah, so I did think of that too.
Okay.
And okay, so let me kind of go back to where I'm currently stuck at.
Okay.
The last time that we had spoke was at, or the last time I kind of shared my struggles was at the 1 million Cup event. And I was able to share that I didn't know what to do with my website. I didn't know how to register my company under the state of Florida. I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. So within that time till a few weeks ago, I was able to, self-teach or teach myself how to do these things.
Okay.
So now the new goal is where I'm currently stuck is, like you mentioned, trying to know exactly where I'm going to market myself. Because if I have a broad idea or a service for just like all types of companies, it's going to be, I'm feeling it's going to be more of a challenge.
Yes.
So
sure.
And you were spot on with what I'm currently going through right now. Is I'm having to narrow down my marketing or who I'm going to reach out to.
Yeah. So it's kind of cute that you're saying that. And so when we talked yesterday, you said something about the lean canvas, and so I got a quiz question for you. So what on the lean what on the lean canvas explains what we just were talking about with your service? And so what part of the lean canvas is that we were just talking about?
So right now, that will be my key metric, and
okay.
I put under my key metric.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make it a goal to be able to know who my marketing was going to be. So that's why I put it under there. But
yeah. So if you remember right, the first thing you do on your lean canvas is you work with your customer and your customer segments, and under the customers it has this thing called early adopters, and so that's what you work on first.
Wait, are we looking at the same lean canvas?
Well, the lean canvas, for the first thing, it's called the customer. Who are your customers?
Oh, the customer segment. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I put there who my customer segment was, and then I moved over to my value proportion,
Yeah.
and then my problem, and then the solution I was going to bring,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next one was going to be my unfair advantages. So who's my competitive advantages?
Yeah.
So right now I'm doing a more thorough research with who my competitive advantage is.
Yeah, so let's go back to the customer thing first, So like so part of that customer thing is so like let's say, if you kind of know who your early adopters would be for what you're doing, or let's say you think you would have a better chance with law firms since that's who you had experience working with, or you say, well, but because I've worked with in a couple of law firms and this is what I help them with, and I can help your law firm. And so right here in Pensacola, you got the law firm capital of the world. You see what I'm saying? And so but you also said you worked in some type of laboratory, and so which is going to be a bigger market for you, definitely the law firms. But if you were trying to focus on a customer to kind of do it, but I know you said this idea of small business, but you can consult with small business and do this, but you got to remember what you're doing is do your consulting, but as you're doing your consulting, you're learning. But what I'm saying, we're talking about developing a product or service now that you can automate to the point that you can actually scale it. And
Okay.
so what? Yeah.
It looks like I would have to do a whole different lean canvas just for a product, I feel, because I had a lean canvas for a service.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't matter if it's a product or service. I didn't separate. It doesn't matter if it's a product or service. But what I'm saying, and you can have multiple lean canvas, so that's not an issue either. But the point I'm trying to make is when you're working on your so I guess what I was suggesting is if you already got dealing with the certain customers with your consulting business, and then so that's just your normal thing that you're doing, and you're solving your own problem to help you be able to scale. And so what I'm saying is that when you're looking at your product or service that you're developing and automating, that's when that lean canvas for that it could be a different lean canvas, but my point is that you have to the methodology is there. And the other thing about the methodology that I'm seeing that you potentially say may be missing in the lean startup methodology is, so you got your idea for your product or service, and then what you have to do is as you talk to these potential customers, and you have to see what their problems really are and their pain points really are, and because you don't want to build something that they don't need is all I'm trying to say. Yeah. And so, but you'll learn that as you do all the lean startup training. And by the way, I think you can't see it, but I did post in the I'm re-listening to this book called Running Lean by Ash, and he's going to be on week after next. But it's literally the Bible for actually your lean startup methodology. And the things that you actually need to do. But the reason why you want to do all these things is that because you can get help, and there's programs out there to help women, there's programs out there to help Hispanics, and so you want to take advantage of those programs to give you the help you need to build it, but don't stop doing your consulting as you're going along. Let's see what Quinn Carlos said. Said stuff about developing a consulting app as a potential option, and Quinn, you can create a website that her clients can sign up and take her questionnaire. Okay, and let's see. a website that your clients can sign up. Yeah, so that was the same thing. But yeah, so those are some ideas as well.
And excuse my serious face. I just get thinking, like I'm just thinking all these
Yeah,
so it's not anything else. It's just my mind is just working.
yeah.
But yes, I did, and Quinn, yes, I did think about a questionnaire. On my website, I actually just had just the most frequent questions that I get, just so if you know, you kind of get a good idea of what we do with Chacon Consulting. But that's where we're at right now. And the Lean Canvas is actually something that I'm starting. I didn't know too much about it. And through going through websites and trying to look up mentors that are either free or just, they're out there. That's how I learned about Lean Canvas. And I just tried this simple product that was free. So I'm still getting to know it. So I definitely do have to read the book.
Yeah. We'll get you hooked up on. We have the Lean Time IO, and we'll get you hooked up on that so you can actually use that. You can make as many Lean canvases as you want.
Or just use that one.
Okay. Yeah. But that's kind of what the idea is. So I want to kind of review a couple of things, and that. So the deal is you have some personal experiences and job experiences in helping companies, kind of create some processes, some procedures, some predictable procedures. And so the effect of that is, what. And so what's the biggest result a company gets from doing that?
They get organization, structure, and the main objective is to have the CEO, owner, slowly remove themselves from that position where they're fully invested in their company. Like I said, they struggle as entrepreneurs, as owners, we struggle a lot in removing ourselves from our company once we're fully invested and they depend on us.
Yes, yeah. Well, but I think, when you really see companies really can't grow unless in their procedures and stuff are kind of like automated like that. There's certain things you have to do, and that's why all these services and startups are out there to kind of help relieve the entrepreneurs, the owners of some of these things. But I think as you learn the lean startup methodology, I think all your answers, are things are start coming together. And once I'll make sure this weekend I get you send you the information to get you enrolled in the program, and then you can start using some of the tools that'll kind of help you move forward there and get the mentors in. But you've been getting the problem is, a lot of these programs are designed for companies that can scale, and so all you have to do is just start working on it. Working on how to make your idea scale. And right now, what you're doing is you're looking at the processes of what you do as you work with companies, and you're documenting what you do. And so what I suggested was, maybe you, if you try to build something that works for everybody, that's going to be too big of a challenge. So you may need to, go to a niche or something. And then so you're still doing your traditional small business consulting business, but you're also spending a little time, trying to figure out how to make your business, you make a product service that your business can scale. And so that's kind of the key thing there. And so when we talked yesterday, you said you had been out doing a lot of networking, and and so how's that been helping you out?
So before I was doing the networking, I had signed up for this really helpful tool that you had suggested. It's called the YC Startup School.
Yeah, Startup School. Okay.
And I don't think a lot of people know that these tools are out here for startups, and it's very helpful because you have, not only do you have somebody or a group of professionals being on top of you and holding you accountable for your goals, but you're also challenging yourself to start thinking of a product. And that's exactly where I'm stuck.
Okay.
Is I signed up for this YC startup school, and it almost feels like you're back in school, but just for your startup company.
Yes,
and
correct.
And I love it because you're held accountable. You have assignments. You are personally making your goals. You are meeting with either investors or business owners like every 3 weeks to see how you're actually doing with your business. And they will actually point you in the right direction, just like how you're helping me. And you log it, you're logging your progress. But like I said, I got stuck where I'm trying to build this product, not only just the service, but the product.
Well, see, I'm trying to think of how to answer your question there. See, the number one thing is, you're definitely going to have to learn the methodology, the Lean Startup methodology, and that will help you. But if you remember, in the startup school, you had to go out and come up with some questions, and they suggested some questions that you talk to the potential customers with, and so you just keep making sure and asking them what what you want to build, but you got to go out and just talk to the customers and see what their problems really are and how does it relate to what you want to build. So like if you go out and talk to like 30 people or potential customers, and you keep hearing a similar problem, and that's where because you worry about building something, but you don't want to build anything till you know what the customer wants.
Exactly. And that's actually why I started going to the networking events too. Because after isolating myself for 2 weeks and trying to build my website, trying to register everything completely, speaking to an attorney, all those things, I was like, okay, it's time to start networking. So honestly, for those who don't know how to start networking, like I said, Facebook was a great tool. Eventbrite is another great tool. They show a lot of free events that they're hosting in your local city, and you can just sign up real quick. There's women empowerment. There is the Bantucola networking club. There's some bars even do like lunch networking events where you can just show up for free, have lunch with other business professionals. And that's what I started doing. I started getting myself out there, getting more exposure, and updating my LinkedIn, being more social, because I really isolated myself for 2 weeks trying to get some things, the foundations of my business straight. But yes, the networking has helped a lot, and we can get a little shy, and we feel like we don't want to talk, but that's the best way to make true connections and people to know about what you're doing or what you're trying to do.
Yes. Looks like Spencer had a nice compliment there.
Hi, Spencer.
Interpersonal skills, and and then Marco says the consulting boot camps and and stuff like that are different ideas. But the good news is that there is a roadmap, and that is the Lean Startup methodology, and that may seem kind of vague or whatever, but you once you dig in, you'll actually see. And so I guess in a little bit of time we have left, I kind of so have you? What do you see as some challenges for women founders and Latino founders? Do you want to comment on your experiences with that?
Yes.
What you've seen?
Okay. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Spencer, for the feedback. And some of the challenges that I face as women is, and that I've encountered myself, is we feel like we're not taken serious at some point, just because we're women. And yes, society is evolving. There are more opportunities. People are being more open-minded and not overseeing our talents and our skills. But that was some of the obstacles that I have reached. And just being authentic and being in tune with my gut feeling that if, a professional relationship isn't working, it's okay to just, step away and meet someone else that genuinely you connect with, because that's how true bonds are going to be made in the professional world, is if you organically connect. So as women, we'll face that fear that, oh, are we going to be taken serious? Are they going to oversee our skills and have a different agenda? But just listen to your gut. I've been trying to do that and make those genuine connections. And if something doesn't connect, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can just move on to someone else that's willing to point you in the right direction.
Yes. Okay. What about from the Hispanic standpoint?
Luckily, I have not had issues.
Okay.
I have been very fortunate that, people have been able to point me in the right direction, and they haven't really questioned my background, my ethnicity, anything. They just see me as a professional.
Early on, you talk about feeling included or something like that.
Right. So I have heard, and I haven't felt it too much, because thankfully in the city, in Atlanta too, there's a lot of diversity. So I didn't feel anything like that. But I have heard from other friends, they don't have the motivation, or they fear that some doors are going to be closed because there isn't enough resources out there that they know of that are like this, where startup companies, entrepreneurs can get together and just talk about their business, their ideas, and suggestions. So they do fear that, because there's a lack of knowledge that these tools are out there.
Yeah. So so have you noticed any opportunities in the Startup on the Box email that goes out every week? Have you seen anything there of interest to you?
Oh, the what? I'm sorry?
The email that I send out each week to the Startup on the Box. Have you seen any the stuff in there that anything that interests you? Or that you might?
Yes, I signed up for I signed up for the YC Startup School.
Yeah,
and I did that. And the next one was the Women Empowerment.
Okay.
I signed up for that.
Okay.
And I'm slowly getting around to it, because I'm a big research person. I have to research everything before I commit. So that's where I've been with the startup school.
Okay, yes, that's good. I was going to pull that up here so we can kind of quickly look at some of the opportunities in there. I don't know if we had any questions from out on Facebook or not. So if there are, let me know. Let's see. Yes, so so basically, for those people new in the audience, we have this newsletter, and we have stuff in funding like this. The first section is funding for all founders. Then I have there was a new thing there for veterans this week, and founders of color, and there's a couple of Hispanic things in there. But most of the time when you see founders of color, that's just basically Black and Hispanic founders, women founders, Asian Pacific founders, nonprofits, and these are some training links. And you mentioned the startup school, kind of what we recommend for all the founders. These are just some basics, that you can start looking at. Lean Stack. This is actually Ash's website, and leanstack.com. So if you type in leancanvas.com, it'll take you to Lean Stack. And so there's a lot of information on there. And these are just a lot of things. Here's the startup school, and also for the new people, like once you start working on your startup and something that scale, you can go here to this site, f6s.com. and so Carla, I don't know if you did this yet, but you can actually you can build a personal profile in there, and you can build a startup profile in there, and they have all these freebies that they got millions of dollars worth of freebies that you can get, and see, where you don't have to really pay for a lot of things. You don't have to pay for websites. They got free hosting services and all that kind of stuff out there. And then, there are organizations that you can join, and I think none of these actually cost anything to join. But what happens is, a lot of these things you see, all these millions of dollars of our current opportunities, they, come from being on these different email lists for these different organizations, and they always send you out, programs and funding things that are good, and there's tons of them for women. And stuff like that. But then I also tell people when you're trying to learn how to pitch your idea, you have to look at other people pitching their ideas, so you can actually kind of understand, how the questions that you're gonna ask. And then when you also from that, then like when you're looking at these funding programs, all these different funding opportunities, 100,000, 120,000.
Right, I saw those earlier.
Yeah, and then 10,000 or whatever. But the idea is that you have to fill out an application to participate in these things. And so the application, you're literally pitching your idea on the application. And most all these applications, they're going to ask you stuff that's on your lean canvas. And that's what it's really all about, and so if you get your lean canvas right, you got your template to apply for all of these things. And so that's kind of what the deal is there.
Yeah, I've changed it like maybe 3 times, because initially I was just kind of filling it out, but then as I'm going through it, and even there's a course on YouTube on how to fill out the lean canvas as well. And that was super helpful. Like, it made me just like restart everything and just rewrite exactly, narrow it down.
So we're gonna have the guy who invented it to come on, and he'll tell you how to fill it out for sure. But we in our video library on Facebook and in our just video library, we go. There's some sessions on that as well. But we really appreciate you coming on, Carly. Any parting words before we leave here?
I am just really thankful for the opportunity, and I really hope that me coming on here encourages other people to, reach out and, find ways and tools that are easy access to, do your startup and build your company from the ground up.
Yeah, that's some really, really good advice. And then it's just a journey, and it's an adventure, and it's not, and so, there's so much knowledge out there, and you have to do it. So that book, Running Lean, I really suggest that people listen to that on audiobook or read it. And it actually it's kind of like a blueprint as well. And so we'll hopefully move forward. I did want to mention to the audience out there that we definitely are shooting to get the pitch competition scheduled for sometime in October, and we're going to try to do the 2 categories: one for just the people at the idea stage, and one for the people that are a little further along with their idea as well. And so we can kind of help get some money there, and help you with building your startup. All righty. Well, thanks everybody for coming. I really enjoyed chatting with you, Carla, and I think you have a good example of starting, and what you're doing, and I think you'll as long as you're willing to learn the methodology and go on this adventure, you will be successful, and so that's really the key thing. The ecosystem is pretty huge, and there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yes, and I really would love for people to not get stuck on that mentality. Like, I have to pay for this, have to pay to go here. I have to pay for a mentor. There is definitely free, genuine help out there for founders and startups. So
for sure.
Thank you for this. Thank you guys, everyone, for your suggestions and questions.
All right, and I'll make sure you get the stuff in the chat too. I'll email that to you. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you all next week. We got Dale Gines, and he's really expert. He's Dr. Dale Gines, and he knows all about ecosystem building, and I mean, he's a national speaker, so we're looking forward to having him on. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.